हम 104.2 एफएम एंड 702 एएम पे आप सुनते हैं एंड गाइस फाइनली वी आर कनेक्टिंग विद वन एंड ओनली फॉर द वेरी फर्स्ट टाइम विद हम रणदीप हुड्डा. हाय रणदीप, हाउ आर यू?
Hi, how are you? I'm good. How's New Zealand?
New Zealand is good. We are very privileged to have you over here. You know, कई बार क्या होता है ना रणदीप कि हम towards the end of the interview हम thank you कहते हैं, but I want to say thank you before the interview because जो सब्जेक्ट आपने ये सिलेक्ट किया है टू मेक द मूवी,
Yeah.
आई थिंक हैट्स ऑफ टू यू. आपने एक पेंडोरा बॉक्स ओपन अप किया है बट
Gee,
मच नीडेड वन, आई विल से. सो थैंक यू फॉर
I'm
चूजिंग
glad you
दिस
feel that.
सब्जेक्ट.
I'm glad you feel that.
इसका जब पोस्टर देखा मुझे बोलना नहीं आ रहा था तब भी, क्योंकि मैंने जब इसका पोस्टर आपके इंस्टा पे देखा ना और मैंने यहाँ पे रेडियो पे अनाउंस किया एंड मैंने रेडियो पे इस चीज के बारे में बात की कि आई एम बिट शॉक्ड अबाउट दिस नेम क्योंकि मुझे इसके बारे में ज्यादा पता नहीं है.
जी,
देन आई स्टार्टेड रीडिंग अबाउट इट. हमारे पास सब्जेक्ट था मॉडरेटर्स एंड एक्सट्रीमिस्ट का.
जी,
मैंने पढ़ा नहीं है इनके बारे में.
जी.
सो टेल मी, आपने इस प्रोजेक्ट को कैसे सिलेक्ट किया?
जी, मैंने भी जब मेरे पास एज एन एक्टर ये प्रोजेक्ट आया था तो मैंने भी इनके बारे में ज़्यादा नहीं सुना था. मतलब सुना था वीर सावरकर, काला पानी, उससे ज़्यादा मुझे भी नहीं
हम्म.
पता था. पर जब मैंने इनके बारे में पढ़ना शुरू किया तो आई वॉज शॉक्ड कि लोगों को ये कहानी क्यों नहीं पहुंची है. So that was one of the biggest reasons that we have had many freedom fighters who contributed to the freedom struggle, but their stories are unknown. And my whole effort in doing this movie is to bring out the story as authentically as possible and give the essence of Mr. Vinayak Damodar Savarkar to the people, what his thoughts were, why is he so debated, addressed all the
हम्म.
points that are in the public domain of debate today, so that we can get rid of the misconceptions and falseness that has been attached to his name. It's his name, wherever you take his name, a lot of people told me not to even do this movie because, hey, it's Savarkar. So I was I took it upon as a challenge that if everybody's saying not to touch it, then I think that's a big incentive to touch it and go through with it and get the story out to people and let them judge for themselves whether he was Veer or
ओके.
not.
सो ये करेक्टर में ढलने के लिए आपने क्या मेहनत की, क्या चैलेंजेस आपको फेस करने पड़े?
सबसे बड़ी मेहनत और चैलेंज तो इसको लिखना था. And I co-wrote it with Utkarsh Naithani, and we churned out a screenplay. We took the all historical facts and dates and then made a screenplay out of it, which is engaging and will get the story across in a modern way. A lot of these biopics made on freedom fighters I saw were rather boring and preachy. So I felt that to get across to people today, especially the young people, I have to make an engaging, modern way of storytelling and then get it across to people in a way which they understand today. And I have used a lot of camera, the way the camera moves and stuff like that, and also the music I have gotten done, which is very orchestral live music. And I've also added a rap song to this
ओह वाओ.
to this thing, to this
हम्म.
project, to give the essence of Mr. Savarkar to today's generation and kind of excite them and entice them to read more, come watch the movie, and see uh, that the history that might have been told to us might not be complete.
हम्म. बिल्कुल सही कहा आपने. एंड इसमें मूवी में आप डेब्यू भी कर रहे हैं एज अ डायरेक्टर, प्रोड्यूसर भी है.
जी.
बेसिकली आपने सब लगा दिया इस मूवी में कि भाई जिंद जहान
All
सब
in,
मेहनत इसमें डाल दी है.
all in.
ऑल इन.
Hmm.
एंड डायरेक्टर में एज अ जब हम काम करते हैं इट्स वेरी डिफरेंट बिकॉज एज एन एक्टर इट्स अ डिफरेंट रोल. डायरेक्टर में आप एक ऑडियंस की आई बन जाते हो, उनकी आंख बन जाते हो कि वो इस मूवी को कैसे देखने वाले हैं. सो वाज इट मोर चैलेंजिंग देन एक्टिंग, या फिर आपको लगता है कि
Of course, it was
एक्टिंग
more
का?
challenging as an actor. It's a lonely job. It's between you and yourself mostly. and you don't really interact with anybody while shooting much. But with being a director, you have to interact with people all the time. The whole time
Yeah.
you're trying to explain to people the kind of movie you're making. And no matter how long and how much effort you put into it, there is a lost in translation. So you have to really, manage people to give them what you want and keep them happy. It was a clerical managerial job to begin with. And then, within that, you try and express yourself as more than just an actor, which who I mean, now you're looking at other actors and their performances, looking at camera angles and dialogues of other people, the background and everything. And then, of course, you have to add music to it and do all kinds of things, which I never thought. I have a newfound respect for all my directors, is all I can.
Definitely. And Randeep, I heard कि आप अंडमान सेल वहां पे गए थे जहां पे उनको उम्र
हमने
कैद
वहीं पे
हुई थी.
पिक्चर शूट की है. मतलब
Oh.
जो आई व्हेन आई रोट इट आल्सो आई थॉट कि यार okay, Kalapani and all that, and I'd seen pictures of it, but it is only
Yeah.
when you land up there and you go into that cell, or there are, I don't know, there were 7 wings, there are only 3 left now,
Hmm.
but there were so many prisoners there, and it is just horrible. And it is a great example of the colonial atrocities that were handed down to the colonies. Um, and I locked I was doing the camera angles, and I thought, okay, let me experience a bit of what Mr. Savarkar must have. So as an actor, so I asked my team to lock me in from outside and just leave me alone for a while. And they felt that, oh, this is some, you know, preparation he's doing. And they left me alone. And within 5 minutes, I couldn't breathe. I felt claustrophobic, and that there was those
Hmm.
walls were caving in on me. And then I tried to even scream and get their attention, and I couldn't. And that to jhatpatana us waqt hua na, I think that was the essence which I then tried to capture in the in while shooting.
वो सुन के एक्चुअली में डर लग रहा है जिस वजह से
Yeah,
आपने
it's
बताया है.
horrible. There's no
Yeah.
toilet. They give you food in through a little thing. And Mr. Savarkar, um, usually what happens in Kalapani is that after 6 months, people are allowed to go out, and after a few years, you can call your family also there. And Mr. Savarkar and his brother Baba Rao Savarkar both were in prison in Kalapani,
Mm-hmm.
and they were not given any concessions. For 11 years, they were kept, and they were made to work like animals, extracting oil from coconut um through a kolu, and then
Mm-hmm.
they used to make ropes with the outer husk of the coconut, and also they didn't get enough to eat. All the cells face in one direction, so you can't even look at anybody else. And it was just a real an attempt to break these revolutionary physically and mentally and spiritually, so that and
Mm-hmm.
also that they don't go and interact with other prisoners, so they can infect them with their revolutionary ideas.
It's just
All,
isolation over there.
yes, all armed revolutionaries were sent out of India once imprisoned, unless they were hanged. And they used to earlier send them to Yemen, then they used to
Mm-hmm.
send them to Mandalay in Burma, and also to Kalapani. This Kalapani cellular jail was built for 1857 revolutionaries, how to get them out of India so that their thoughts of revolution don't infect the larger population.
इट इज शॉकिंग कि ये सब चीजें ये सारी इंफॉर्मेशन हमने कभी पढ़ी नहीं है.
जी
इट
जी.
इज
एक
शॉकिंग.
एक क्या होता है ना कि when the winners write the history, and because a certain uh, section of people who got into government was selected for the government when the British left, So they then started glorifying themselves, I guess, and it's something that happens all
Hmm.
across the world. The British citizens or even the citizens of New Zealand don't really know of the colonial atrocities that were handed out by these British and who are part of the Allied forces, who are the good guys. We only hear about the atrocities of the Nazis regime. We don't know about
Yes.
how for the war Winston Churchill
Yeah.
had taken all the food and all the resources from many parts of India, which caused famine, and hundreds and thousands of people died because of that. That's also
Hmm.
genocide. So there were many, many things that happened, and we only so with the advent of internet and social media, there is a bigger exchange of this forgotten information because some people have read it and they're propagating it, and like me, I've read it and I'm telling a story. So they are coming out, and that's happening all across the world. Like Columbus Day, they celebrate in America. They don't celebrate Columbus anymore because he was a slave trader, right?
Yeah.
So that he was the founding father of America, but now people are discovering that he was a slave trader. So
Yeah.
we are discovering other aspects of all across the world. It's
Yeah.
happening.
Of history,
Well,
in fact.
yes, yes. Even in New Zealand, the Maori history and
Yes.
their treatment by the British and all that. So it's a very
Oh, I'm glad you are aware about it.
yes, yes, yes. I'm aware about it, and how these British always come in as friends and then they end up destroying you. And what they attempt the most is to destroy your culture. A lot of
Yeah.
Maori culture, Aboriginal culture were destroyed by these. They were took their children away. They educated them in another schooling system. They all try to make, give their European thought process to these people who are
Yes.
very self-satisfied and happy.
Yeah.
Tried the
Yeah.
same with India, but I think it is our Hinduness which never allowed
Blood.
people to, even when before the advent of the Mughals, before the British, the Mughals were there, but they blended into our culture and they could
Yes.
not destroy our culture because our roots are very deep. Our
Yeah.
roots are deep and we are very large in numbers.
मैंने देखा है बहुत सारे क्रांतिकारी, चाहे वो शहीद भगत सिंह है, जो कोई भी, वो लिखते बहुत थे। सो ये भी वीर भी, ये भी बहुत ज्यादा लिखते थे। सो इनकी बुक से भी आपने इंस्पिरेशन ली है टू मेक दिस मूवी?
जी जी जी, मैंने कई किताबें पढ़ी हैं, इसमें दोनों पक्ष की पढ़ी हैं।
हम्म।
नरम दल और गरम दल दोनों की पढ़ी हैं।
क्या
और
बात है!
हाँ, और मैंने सावरकर जी के बारे में पढ़ा है और सावरकर जी को भी पढ़ा है। बहुत ही
जी।
कॉम्प्लिकेटेड राइटिंग थी उनकी, सेंटेंस लंबे लंबे लिखते थे, खत्म करते करते दोबारा पढ़ना पड़ता था शुरू से। बट दैट वाज द एक्साइटिंग थिंग आई फाउंड। मिस्टर सावरकर वाज अ वेरी बिग, he was giant of an intellect.
यस।
He changed the point of view of 1857, a Sepoy mutiny, to 1857, the
हम्म।
first war of independence. Then he came up with a big uh, political ideology for freedom called Hindutva, which was
यस।
all encompassing, which meant that anybody who lives from Indus River to Bay of Bengal
हम्म।
and considers this their land of their ancestors, land of their culture, land of their civilization, is a Hindu, no matter what religion they belong to or what caste they belong.
या।
It was it was a political, geographical definition that he gave, civilizational identity to the people, in which, of course, every man has to be judged by the times he lived in and the circumstances they were in, not in today's. So he had
हम्म।
put a clause, the last clause, which is much debated, which is that ये आपकी पुण्य भूमि भी होगी. This will be the land of your faith and the land of your
हम्म।
karma. And because there was a threat of an invasion, pan-Islamic invasion from the northwest frontier, that is why he put in this clause, because he felt that the country should be above religion.
मुझे तो इसके ऊपर बात करने के लिए आपका 1 आवर चाहिए, मतलब मेरे पास इतने
हाँ,
सवाल है
नहीं नहीं,
आपके
ये
लिए।
इसके लिए
बट
मेरे को भी रोकना पड़ता है बात करने से, डोंट वरी डार्लिंग।
हाँ।
And I would like to invite your listeners to go watch this film when it releases in
यस।
theaters. Um, I have made two versions, one in black and white as well, for the history aficionados
वाओ!
uh, who want to really taste history the way it is, way it must have seemed. It gives a so you can watch it in both color or black and white, most likely. and then go and see the movie, and then engage in first go and enjoy the movie. I made a
Yes.
thriller. I made a thriller of a movie which, essence of which is in a rap song. So that's my message to all your listeners. It is today's movie, and it's an engaging movie, and I leave it up to you to decide whether he was Veer or not.